crazy thing is I looked up at the score while we were all celebrating. It was 71-65. In 1991, before these guys were even born, I think I lost the national championship game to Duke 72-65. So it's a lot sweeter tonight, to say the least. But I have nothing but great things to say about Mark Few and the Gonzaga team. They had an unbelievable year, but we made some plays down the stretch. There's nobody in coaching that I have more respect for than Mark. He's a young man that I've tried to talk with, and we've enjoyed each other's company and watching them on tape and looking at the stat columns and how they were significantly better than us in several categories. But they had a great, great run. I told the guys in the locker room, 2005 when Sean May was playing, the team that we beat in the national championship game was 37-1, and that was Illinois. And tonight we got Gonzaga when they were 37-1. So for us, it's a fantastic feeling. At half, I was really mad because we didn't handle the clock very well at the end of the first half, and I thought we weren't very intelligent, and I do think we're a smart team. And I jumped on them at the first of the half, told the staff I was going to, but I was going to try to give them something at the end. And so I tried to be a little more positive, and I told them last year we were ahead at halftime, and the other team came out more focused than we did, so it was our job to come out more focused than Gonzaga. We got off to a good start, and then it goes back and forth, and with 3 minutes to play, we have the timeout. I think it's 3:08, but I'm not sure. And I said if you had told us that we were going to be in this situation the first day of school, meeting at my house, we would have all taken it. And that's all Roy Williams did. I didn't do one other daggum thing, but these guys made big-time plays. Theo was all over the board getting loose balls. Joel made a couple of big baskets. Isaiah, my boy's been struggling like a dog. But tonight he looked like a greyhound there a couple times at the end. But I told him this morning, your last high school game, you won a state championship, and he had like 34 points, 30 rebounds. I told him I would take that tonight. He didn't really give that to us, but he was big for us and made a couple of big, big baskets down the stretch. At the end, when you're watching your kids jump around and the excitement, the thrill they have, there's no better feeling in the world as a coach. Thank you.
Let's take questions first for the student athletes. We'll start in the center toward the right. Pat.
For Isaiah, how did you avoid losing your confidence given the struggles you went through and just make yourself still be ready to make the plays at the end here?
Everybody still had, faith in me. Everybody was always encouraging me. And, I felt like, I was always trying. I feel like, when you try, good things eventually is going to happen. That's all I was doing.
Continuing with questions for the student athletes, let's go to the second row. Jeff.
I got one for Roy, so throw it back there if you want.
Okay, let's go to the row right behind in the third row.
Brett Freelander, North State Journal. Joel, you've had the ankle problems, and you said that you weren't getting lift on your jumper. Did you make any adjustments tonight, or was it just gritting it out and making shots?
Yeah, I think it was a little of just gritting it out. And but I said that when we were done with warm-ups, I was running to the bench, and we do our regular handshakes with our coaches. And I ran by coach, and he told me, just use your legs. And every time I took a jump shot, I just tried to use my legs, and some of them were short, but the ones that we needed went in, and
that's all that matters.
That's all that matters. And so it was a little bit of myself, and then just my coaches and my teammates helping me out.
Next question's in the front row, Steve.
Hi, Steve Futterman from CBS News. I want to ask the players, Theo, Joel, Isaiah. I'm guessing, Theo, you're going to change your screensaver now on your computer. But could you talk about, the three of you, when the moment came, when you knew you had won, when it was over and you knew you were national champions, especially after last year? What was going through your heart and mind? Can I start with Theo, then Joel, and then Isaiah?
Definitely going to change my screensaver on my phone now. I can do that. I don't think anybody can really explain that feeling. I know pretty much everybody that was on the floor was tearing up with those 7 seconds left. It was so hard to keep yourself together because you knew you was that close, and it's a feeling that you'll never forget. Just seeing everybody on the team just so excited that we're finally here in this moment. We did it, and that's something I'll never forget, and I love these guys to death.
Joel.
Yeah, when Kennedy blocked that shot and I grabbed the ball and threw it to Justin, I immediately almost started crying. And then Kennedy got another steal, and I went and found the ball, and I got fouled. And we were just sitting there. I don't know why, but all of a sudden the ref came up to me and said, "Your coach wants to know if you want a timeout." And I said yes. And I went up to coach and I just hugged him. I told him I'm about to cry. And he just told me, you know what, just go up there and just knock your free throws in. And I know I missed the first one, but tried to focus in on that second one. But, I mean, it's just an unbelievable feeling. And it's what we worked for. And the ups and downs that we've had, it's all worth it. And, I mean, I can't even describe my feeling right now, but I'm just glad that I was able to do something with this team because I felt like just the personality and what we went through, and I think we just deserved it. So,
Isaiah.
Once I seen Kennedy block the shot, we was only up, I think, by 5. Play was still going on. I had my hands in the air, teared. I really couldn't see nothing. And next thing you know, I seen Kennedy steal it, and I think I almost lost it. It's just, the way to go out, as a senior, knowing this is my last college game no matter what, and, it's complete 180 from last year. I feel like, this is where, what we worked for, it was finally here. It's hard to describe it, it was so surreal, and, I had to pinch myself, one time, couldn't believe it.
In the center section, Nancy.
Nancy Armour, USA Today. Isaiah, you and Kennedy both were playing with 4 fouls right here for a large chunk of the end of the second half. How difficult was that, and how much did that affect the flow and the pace of the game for you guys?
It didn't affect nothing for me. I know when I picked up my third, I looked at Coach and gave him a thumbs up like, I'm good. Just leave me in. I don't know if you remember that. Like,
I listened to him. I left him in.
Yeah, like, I felt like, I was going to do the right things. I felt like, I didn't want to come out. I wasn't going to, miss this chance with these guys. And I felt like, when I was out there, I was doing everything I can, just playing smart.
In the back row on the left side.
Aaron Torres, Fox Sports. I guess for Joel or any of you really, you guys obviously, it's been discussed all week. You know what it's like to be in that other locker room that Gonzaga's in right now. Late in the game, was there ever that tangible moment where you guys looked at each other verbally, non-verbally, and basically said, we're not going to let that happen again? I'm just curious because it was such a close game down the stretch, and obviously, what it's like to be in Gonzaga's shoes right now.
Let's have Joel take that, and then Theo.
Yeah, I think we had like a media timeout or something, and one of our assistant coaches, Coach Rob, just said, remember that moment and how we felt last year, and we don't want that again, so we just got to give it our all. And that's the moment where we locked in, and we went out there and just gave it our all, literally, and we were able to come out with the win. So. I think it was like
3 or 5.
3 minutes left. Yeah, it was
3:05.
3 minutes left, and yeah.
Yeah. What was the question? I forgot.
We got a good answer out of Joel on
Yeah,
that one.
yeah,
Let's
he
move
got
on
it.
to the next one.
Good
Up
job,
front
Joel.
on the left side.
Digital Network, when you guys last year saw Marcus Page's shot go in with 4.7 seconds left and that emotion was going through, can you compare and contrast the differences between that moment and then when you had the timeout with 7 seconds left?
This question was for
I'll take it.
Any of the players.
We
Okay.
had 5 more seconds.
Well,
It was
no.
like 4.6, wasn't it?
Hold up. First of all, Marcus' shot was to tie the game. So we knew, that was going to go to overtime. And, with that shot, felt like we had the momentum and everything. This time, we was up, and Joe was at the free throw line. We knew at this moment we had it done. And that feeling, is just something else. You got it, Theo.
No,
Theo, you want to add to that?
No, he covered it all. I mean, it was a tie game after that, and we knew it would have been overtime, and we would have still had to play. This time we were up. We knew if we got stops, we was going to win the game, so it was completely different.
To the second row, and this will be the final question for the student athletes.
They done took all my questions. But this is for Joe. I'm going to try and wing this. Your ankles for the last couple of games. I just want to know, I cried with 1 sprained ankle, and you're out here giving your all every single night with 2 sprained ankles. As a leader of this team, What does that mean to you, and what does it mean to just give that 100% regardless of whatever pain you're feeling for this team?
Yeah, my trainers were coming up to me constantly. Are you okay? Are you okay? We need to come down and do rehab. Take this up to your room. Do that. And I just kept on telling myself, look, just a couple of more weeks. Just give it your all. And so it was times where I saw Theo going back to his room, and he like, man, I'm about to go get me a nap. And I'm like, I got to go down to the pool. So, it was a lot of rehabbing and a lot of just sacrificing my time. But I'm always about team, and I didn't put myself first. I put the team first, and I did whatever I could to be able to be at 100%, because everyone would like to play at 100%, but I think the difference with me is that I have heart and I have will to do whatever it takes to be able to get out there and compete with my guys. And we said that from last year we were going to just give it our all throughout the whole season and get back to where we wanted to be, and that's what I did. And that just throughout that whole time, the last couple of weeks, that's just played throughout my head to just give it your all, fight for your team, and just go out there and compete for your brothers. They're like family to me, and that's all I did. And I was able to put my pain aside and just think about them first.
We'd like to congratulate and thank Isaiah, Joel, and Theo for joining us here in the main interview room. They're going to head back to the Carolina locker room, which is still open for student-athlete availability.
I know y'all gonna miss me.
I'm not.
First question for head coach Roy Williams is on the right side of the aisle. Dana.
Dana O'Neill with ESPN. Roy, I know they're all sweet, but because of how last year's ended, does this one feel any differently?
Dana, I think it does. They're all, as you said, they're all really sweet. Every 351 teams start thinking that maybe we could do that. Some of them more realistic than others, but even the ones that have no chance, they think of that moment. So they're all extremely special. I've been very, very lucky, but I'd say this one is probably more special because it's been a journey for the last 3 or 4 years of trying to do something. The tough thing is it doesn't make Marcus, Bryce, and Joel feel any better. So that's the thing that I'm going to have for a long time. As I said yesterday or whenever it was, the feeling of inadequacy in the locker room last year is the worst feeling I've ever had. But yes, this one's fantastic, and it's sweet.
Coach, can I borrow your bottle there?
Yes. Oh, Jesus. I'm going to get another reprimand from the tournament committee because I got a daggum bottle up here. It's not supposed to be here. I do have a letter in my file because I had a Coca-Cola cup in here one night. As a matter of fact, I should have kept it and said, I got the trophy. You can have the damn letter of reprimand.
Coach, next question's on the right side. Jeff.
Jeff Goodman, ESPN. Roy, you alluded to it a little bit the last 3 or 4 years, what it's been like for you. What has it been like for you, and what does this mean to you because of everything that you've had to go through?
Well, it's, I wish it got no attention here because this should be about the kids. I wish it got no attention, but I know it's out there. But the last 3 or 4 years have been very hard. I told you. People have questioned my integrity, and that means more to me than anything. I know that we did nothing wrong. I know that I did nothing wrong. I've been investigated 77 times, it seems like, and everybody came to that conclusion. But there were some mistakes made at our university that I'm not happy about either. But there's also, it always says, for little or no work, and that's not true, or that for classes that weren't classes, and that's not, they were taught differently, and whether I approve it or not, it makes no difference. But it's been there. It's been harder to recruit. We've lost about everybody that we've tried because the sensationalism of the newspapers. I had to start defending myself 4 years ago, and I used to say that I hoped that it was over with before I retired. Now I'm saying I hope it's over with before I die. So I'm not that happy about that part of it. But your question, and yesterday or whenever it was, there's nothing good about this because I didn't understand the question. There's nothing that this has caused guys to stay. It's They stayed because they trusted us. They stayed because they loved the University of North Carolina. We didn't get a lot of guys that we wanted to get, but you know what? We played on the last Monday night last year, and we got beat because another team made a better play. We played on the last Monday night this year, and to me, that's a great deal of credit goes to those kids because they realized they did nothing wrong. I think it was Dennis that asked the question last night, but the rules are that we were playing. Whenever the decision is made and whatever they do, everybody's got to live with. But this team that I had last year and this year's had nothing to do with that. And the things that have been put in the paper have just been very harmful and very hurtful. But that's what it is. Let's please, I'm not telling you what questions to ask. You can ask any daggum question you want, but I please would like you to try to focus on what these kids have accomplished instead of something that somebody did 24 years ago.
Toward the center of the room, Nancy.
Nancy Armour, USA Today. Roy, how difficult was it in terms of game flow and game plan with all of the fouls in the second half?
Yeah, it was, and I don't know what Mark said, but it was an ugly game. I mean, I don't think either team played exceptionally well offensively. The second half, they shoot 27% and we shoot 35% for the game. So I don't think either team ever got in a real good flow. The fouls were part of it, but just the bigness, that's a terrible way to say it. My wife's an English teacher, but the game is so big that you get so hyped up, you have to control your emotions and be able to play within yourself. Justin Jackson's 0 for 9 from three-point line, and he rushed so many of them. And in a normal game, he may not have done that. So I think it was the magnitude of the game had a lot to do with it, and the defenses on both ends, on both teams, I think had something to do with it.
Front row all the way left.
I'm just
Coach.
happy we're not talking about a three-point attempt that was ruled. We touched it and went out of bounds, and then they made the three. I'm just glad we're not talking about that.
Royce Bob Baum from Associated Press. What do you think of what Joel was able to do with the ankle problems, and again coming off of that game he had in the semis, and what has he meant to this team?
He really has a great deal of toughness. I mean, after the game Saturday, his knee it was swollen Saturday night, and our trainer said, yeah, he got a lot more puffy. So he's been in the pool, he's been hot tub, cold tub. They've been massaging, they've been doing everything that they can possibly do 4 and 5 times a day. But, the games are going to be played. We can't get a delay and say, we're not ready. You got to play. And his toughness, I think everybody on our club picked up on that. I think it was important to everybody. He's a shooting point guard. And, tonight he was 4 for 13, but the last 3 weeks since he's had the sprained ankles, he shot a terrible percentage. But he was well over 40 at one point this year, so it's limited what he does very well in the game, but he still competed. And I look down here and 6 assists and 1 turnover and 22 points. That was an amazing game.
Coach to the right of the aisle.
Coach Sam Panayotovich, WGN, you talked about the rhythm and the pace. When those things are sucked out because of the constant whistles, how do you keep your composure, and how do you go about coaching when the officials do get a little too involved?
Well, I don't know that they got too involved. I was just really upset and disappointed in the one call. But that's basketball. I mean, it's a very difficult game to call. I'm sitting over there. I'm not thinking the officials are doing a terrible job. I swear to goodness, that's not what I'm thinking. I'm thinking our offense stinks. I mean, I'm serious. I mean, I told them, don't worry about what the referee's doing. He missed a call. Well, my God, we missed 4 free throws in a row. We missed layups, so we were at fault just as much as anybody else. But it was an ugly game because 2 teams really wanted it badly, and the other team wasn't going to allow them to have easy things. That's what I think it was.
Front and center.
Kiera Luck with Carolina Blue. Coach, congratulations.
Thank you.
On Tuesday before you guys left, you said that once the game clock starts, experience goes out the window. Mm-hmm. But you have 10 players who returned from last year. Do you think at this point, does your stance change on that experience at all?
It's Joel went to the line, missed 2 free throws. Kennedy went to the line, missed 2 free throws because the magnitude of the game, and we were in it last year. They shot a little bit better from free throw line than we did, and they didn't play in it last year. I do believe when it got inside the 3-minute mark, and I challenged them about we've got to play right now. I think our experience, not just of last year though, but our experience against Arkansas, our experience against Kentucky, our experience in the Butler game, I thought all those things really helped this team much more so than the memory of last year. And I wanted to give them something positive when we left the locker room, and that's the reason I told them we were way ahead, not way ahead, but we were up 5 at halftime, and the other team came out and played harder and won the game.
That same area, front and center.
Roy, you mentioned that you told the players during halftime that to remind them of the score of last year's game and to tell them to not settle. What were some of the other things you told them to sort of keep them motivated and were able to come out in the second half and perform the way they did?
Well, I spent most of my time yelling at them because I didn't like the way we finished the first half. But I think that you can do all that, and that's coaching, but then try to give them something to latch on to in a positive way. And so that's the reason I gave them that. But I told them we can play a lot better, and I believed we could. I still believe we can play a lot better, but you have to give Gonzaga credit too. But I think that gives halftime talks too much credit, and I'm just being straightforward. Somebody's asked me before, what did you tell them at halftime? I said I told them the same thing I told them 3 weeks ago when we got beat by 50 or whatever it was. But I just tried to put some positive thoughts in their mind coming out to start the second half.
On the right side of the room, John.
John Walters, Newsweek. Coach, congratulations.
Thank you.
You may have answered this, but Stillman said at the 3-minute timeout, you just basically told them, we're going to win this game. What's the difference in that last 3 minutes? What did your team do?
Isaiah made, I don't have a stat, I've got a stat sheet, but I don't have a play-by-play. Even things have been sort of swirling around, but I think Isaiah made 2 big baskets in the last 3 minutes. And I think that was just a youngster willing the ball in the hole because he had stunk it up for the last couple of weeks most of the time. And then we got up 3, and then we got a great stop, and then all of a sudden it goes from 3 to 5 quickly because on the steal we puts it down. I was mad at Justin for hanging on the rim so long. I wanted him to get back, and then Kennedy comes over and wants to hug me. I said, finish it, that kind of thing. But it really is my memory. I usually remember every play, and I'm sort of screwing it up right now.
Up front to the right, Pete.
Roy, Pete Thamel from Sports Illustrated. You said, I guess, on Friday that you'd like to give an honest answer on Monday about going to the White House and going to see President Trump if you won. Now that you're here, I'm just kind of curious. You can't jinx yourself, so what your thoughts are?
I haven't had any. I probably screwed it up. I should have told you, let me think about it afterwards because I wasn't going to jinx myself. We won in 2005. We never got invited. So I don't know if we're going to get invited this time. I mean, that's a bad way to put it. They invited us in September when they were doing a lot of teams. Well, all of my team were already at the NBA training camp, and 2 of them in Europe. So we didn't go in 2005, and we did go in 2009. But, the office of the presidency of the United States is the most fantastic place you can be. But let me think on it. And again, I don't know if we're going to get invited. I really don't. But I know one thing. We're putting up a nice banner in the Smith Center that's hard to get.
Back to Nancy in the center.
Roy, speaking of Dean, you were asked about this outside, but you now have one more title than he does. You've got 3 since 2005. I know you're not big on legacy, but what do you think this does do for you?
Nancy, it's Jimmy told me yesterday he was going to ask me that question. I almost got emotional. I don't think Roy Williams should ever be put in the same sentence with Dean Smith. I really don't. I think Coach was the best there's ever been on the court, and he was an even better person. And so it's a little staggering. When I look up at one of the boards tonight, and it's all those guys that, they had more titles than our North Carolina teams had it, not Roy Williams, because I don't like it that way. But that was a little emotional for a second. But I really, I don't know what to say. I mean, because I'm very, very lucky. I'm doing what I've always wanted to do, is to coach kids and trying to get them to have a common goal and make sacrifices. And it's number 3, but they've all been fantastic, and I've been very fortunate.
Final question for Coach Williams in the back of the room on the aisle. Ralph?
Roy, you had talked about so much about your...
Thank you. I just couldn't find you.
Ralph Russo, the Associated Press. You had talked so much about your relationship with Coach Few. You've had a lot of these been on the other end of some of these, especially last year. I know it's tough after the game to really say much, but did you say anything to him, share a moment that maybe you could share with us?
You know, he is a really good friend. I mean, one of the funniest looks I've ever seen was we have a private plane, and I've given him a ride, and we go from Vegas to Orlando to see another recruit, and the door seal has a leak, and it starts whistling, the most shrill, uncomfortable feeling you've ever seen. And he's sitting there like this, his hands in his ears saying, why did I follow Roy Williams in this plane? But we got it okay in the whole bit. But we've had some good times together, and I've coached against Jared Hass, and I've coached against Dean Smith. I've coached against Mark Turgeon. I almost never saw Mark during a game tonight because I don't focus on the other coach. But as I started to walk down there, I mean, we're jumping around, and I realized that I hadn't shook his hand. And I started down there, and it was the same kind of feeling I had when I coached against those guys that I've either coached or been my assistant. And I told him I was sorry that it had to be against you. I know how you feel. And it was almost emotional because I do respect the youngster so much. And he calls me his mentor, and or one of his mentors, and that's a pretty damn neat thing.